Hello, good people. I will be going over a bombshell article from GuruMag. Yes, there is a GuruMag. It is called Inside Sadhguru's Cult Empire. Over a dozen former members are speaking out against Sadhguru's misconduct. And this is by journalist Be Scofield. She did a great piece on Love Has Won on HBO, actually. I don't know if you remember Love Has Won. It was a really fun little cult that got sort of dark toward the end. Anyway, this article basically exposes Sadhguru for, I want to say a fraud, because how are you a fraud? But this tells the behind the scenes and how his institution actually works and how he actually is in private. Now, if you've seen his videos, you may have guessed this. You may have guessed this just by watching his videos. He did an interview with Joe Rogan where I'm actually happy that Joe Rogan pushed back quite a lot against this man. And he pointed out at the beginning of the interview that Sadhguru's people actually contacted him. So that's why he was on Joe's platform. Anyway, this is not about Joe Rogan. It's not about this interview. It's about this particular article. It is actually a pretty long article. It is a feature. I will link that down below so you can read the whole thing for yourself. Obviously, I don't have time to go over every single detail, but I will try to get the highlights here. But there's going to be stuff that I just leave out. So I'll link that down below. You can go research it further for yourself. There's also a website, as there often is. There's often a website where former members and people who have been hurt and slighted by the organization come together to share their experiences. That website is called Exposing Sadhguru. Now, if you're a follower of his, you might not believe any of this. You might say that this article is completely bunk and all of these dozens of people who are coming out with their experiences, with their complaints, are just making it up. Or you might say, and this is what a lot of people are going to say, that what he did doesn't matter. He's still enlightened and he's still doing good things for the world. Now we're going to go over what happened or allegedly happened in the article, which is told in the article, and you can make the choice for yourself. Now, does a person who does all these horrible things, can they still be enlightened? Can they still be a force for good? We're going to see. Now, for the record, I am not a follower of Sadhguru. I am not. In fact, everything I know about the man has been forced on me by the YouTube algorithm. He just popped up in my feed. He started popping up in my feed around the pandemic. He has a huge YouTube audience. He has a huge following on YouTube. And this stuff just started coming up in my feed, kind of being foisted on me by the algorithm. And at the Maye Muses YouTube channel, we call this non-consensual information, because between the shorts and the algorithm suggesting things and the Joe Rogan interview and all these things, he just sort of came up. And notice how that happens a lot, where they sort of push these people on you and there's no one vetting who this person is. So we call this non-consensual information. It's probably done by his PR team. It's their job, the PR team's job, PR and marketing, public relations and marketing, to force information on you that you don't want. So that's how I know about Sadhguru. And reading this article actually made a lot of sense from what I've seen of him. In this video, I'm going to give you a very brief breakdown of who he is, what his organization is, and the allegations from the article. Now, Sadhguru is an Indian guru, an Indian spiritual leader. His birth name is Jagadish or Jagi Vasudev. He is 67 years old right now. He is the youngest of 5 siblings. His father was a doctor. His mother was a homemaker. And they actually wanted him to go to university and continue his studies and become a professional. But he decided to go into business. He went into business, started a chicken farm initially so that he could have some off time to reflect, and had another business. And then he went on to teach yoga. He taught yoga for many years. And apparently he was a very, very skilled yoga teacher. He taught under this man called Rishi Prabhakar. If I'm butchering these names, I apologize. I'm doing my best. Now, he later left to start his own institute. It's called the Isha Institute. This is in India, and they teach, it's a yoga retreat, but not a retreat. It's a yoga institute. They teach yoga, and they are known for having the biggest bust of Shiva. It's got this massive bust of Shiva. It's actually quite beautiful, but that's more PR. It attracts people to them because they have this big statue of a major god in their religion. So that's interesting. If you've seen it, this is where it's from. According to this article in GuruMag, Sadhguru actually stole all of his teachings from his former teacher, Rishi Prabhakar. Now, that is not strange. People do that all the time. They go and they study under so-and-so, or they apprentice under so-and-so, and then they go and they start their own business, and they start their own institute in this case. I mean, it's a church. We know churches aren't businesses, right? Anyway, so he started his own institute, his own yoga institute, teaching this man's yoga teachings, which is perfectly normal. That's not why the article is upset with him. That may be one reason, but that is a perfectly normal thing to do. That's how all of us work and all of us act. Now, most of us, if we have the class, will say, well, I learned from so-and-so. This person taught me everything I know. And that's just the classy thing to do. Our spiritual leaders, are they known for being classy? No. The answer is no. The answer is no. Watching a lot of Miss Rachel, so you're gonna have to bear with me, okay? I got a 2-year-old. Anyway, now what is disturbing about this article? The most disturbing stuff about this article is the accusations that Sadhguru tried to have people killed, and that there are a lot of suspicious deaths associated with his institute, with former members who tried to leave or were able to successfully leave and then they were killed, or people who were in his institute at the time under his tutelage at the time. They died at the time. There's also numerous instances of accusations of sexual misconduct by Sadhguru against many women, and inappropriate behavior against young girls. There's some receipts to go along with this. This all happened in India, and their police force seems to be less stringent than ours. Stuff that we know that he did, particularly surrounding his wife's death, that would have gotten you 10 years in the United States. Even if you can't pin the murder on it, the way the body was disposed of, that would have gotten you 10 years in the United States. And there are accusations that he did kill his wife. He was never formally charged because he disposed of the body before, and it could be investigated before it could be properly investigated. Now, because this is happening in India, keep that in mind. It's not the same as the United States. So he wasn't charged with that. He wasn't charged with any misconduct surrounding that. However, if that had happened here, you better believe he would just be getting out of jail. Maybe he had a good lawyer. He got out a few years ago because this wife incident actually happened in the 90s. Okay, let's go through the article and see what is exposed. Now, the first accusation that from jump starts it out is that Sadhguru tried to have this rival guru killed. He propositioned people to kill this rival guru. This rival guru's name is Nithyananda. He said Nithyananda is a blight on humanity. He is doing more harm to spirituality than you can imagine. Being a fake guru when there is a real guru around is one of the biggest crimes. He needs to be done away with. Now, this is what he allegedly said to a man called Daniel, one of his devotees, that he tried to get to kill Nithyananda. I'm just going to say it. I've been saying this for years. This guru on guru violence has to end. The guru wars have gone too far, and we need to stop this. Obviously, I'm being sarcastic. I have to point that out for YouTube because YouTube doesn't quite know. But yeah, it is seemingly unenlightened to try to have a fellow guru killed. Now, this goes on for quite a while on how he tried to get a gun. He was unsuccessful in being able to get a gun. Remember, this is India. This isn't here. You can just go get a gun. He was unsuccessful in being able to get a gun. Some of his devotees simply refused to kill this man. Others were willing to, but they were not able to get a gun. And as you go on in the article, it shows that a person was supposed to get them a gun to kill Nithyananda, but that person never showed up. Now, later, that person died at one of his yoga retreats. So that's a suspicious death associated with Sadhguru, and especially around this attempted or this conspiracy to commit murder. Now, this particular devotee asks, Sadhguru, you say that you can kill a person from across the world with just a thought. Why don't you do it to this person? Why don't you do this to Nityananda? And Sadhguru says, well, this would bring bad karma on me. But apparently, actively using the material world to kill a person would not bring him bad karma. So this is sort of just this weaving of lies and doublespeak, hoping that these people that he's speaking to do not understand karma, that they don't understand spirituality, that he can outsmart them. But in this particular situation, he did not outsmart his devotee who didn't want to do this. Thank God for that devotee. And you can always say no. Keep that in mind. Remember, you can say no. Another suspicious death around Sadhguru occurred in the year 2000 about one of his devotees who was going to leave, a man called Somu, and he went on a retreat with two of Sadhguru's henchmen, and they came back and he didn't. Now, when his girlfriend, Sridevi, came to ask, hey, what happened to my boyfriend? Because they were both planning to leave and start their own spiritual center. Once again, this would be competition. She mysteriously died. She died at the steps of the institute. And they said, well, she was bitten by a snake. She was bitten by a snake, they say. It says in the article, when his girlfriend, Sridevi, expressed her frustration to Sadhguru, she was found dead at Sadhguru's doorstep. They told us they had injected her that morning with some kind of drug, a woman named Kirishma, alias. This is an alias, not her real name, told me. She spent 20 years following him and lived near the ashram. And then they claimed she passed out and was killed by a snake bite. She said Sadhguru was diabetic and knew how to inject medicine. Now, this keeps coming up, that people may have been injected with medicines, various drugs from Sadhguru or his people. And so both of these people who were going to split off, this couple was going to split off and start their own thing, they both died. A snake bite. I mean, stranger things have happened, right? Stranger things have happened. But sometimes the simplest explanation is often the right explanation. Anyway, she goes on to say, Somu and Sridevi were planning on leaving the ashram to start their own spiritual group, and Sadhguru didn't like competition. This is twice that we see he doesn't like competition. Now, the problem here is that there's no smoking gun, and a lot of these things happen in India. So this is all allegedly until the police can bring a case. Now, one of the deaths did happen at a retreat in Tennessee. So we'll see. We'll see if they can get anything from that. Thus far, they haven't. I think this is the last suspicious death I will cover. Once again, I'm linking the article down below so you can see for yourself. This man called Dilip Rajaratnam, and he was the accountant for the ashram. So he had the receipts. He knew where the bodies were buried, just to use the phrase. He understood what they were doing, and he left, and he was disillusioned with Sadhguru. Now, after he left in 2012. After he left, another supposedly former devotee befriended him, and they complained together about Sadhguru and the institute and how controlling it was. There are questions as to whether this man was sincere, and if he was really Dilip's friend, or if he was just trying to do what he did. Now, he and Dilip got into an accident, and in that, Dilip's his seatbelt wasn't working, so he died in that accident. Now, there is suspicion as to whether this was set up so that Dilip would be killed, and there would be no receipts. There would be no one to tell Sadhguru's secrets. So that's another suspicious death. Once again, could have just been an accident. Could have just been an accident. And this next thing is the most disturbing thing that is in the article that I have read, that I've ever heard about Sadhguru, and there's no skirting the issue. There's no getting around it. There was an article in 1997, October 1997, that's from the Indian Express, and they published an article titled "God-Man Charged with Wife's Murder." And he was not charged with her murder. What happened was she died while meditating. Apparently, she meditated so well that it killed her. Her soul actually left her body from a massive bruise near her sternum. That was her soul leaving her body. It wasn't her being punched. It was her soul leaving her body. Now, this happened in India. Apparently, she had suffered from years of abuse, according to former friends of hers. She had suffered from years of abuse under him. She was concerned for her safety. And she was also making plans to visit friends and tend to their daughter because they had a daughter together. But there was a meditative session, and she meditated so well that she died. Her parents were called and said, look, your daughter's died. They said, okay, we want to see her. Don't touch the body. We're going to come and see her. But before they arrived, she was cremated. They cremated her. So they disposed of the evidence. If there was evidence, they disposed of it. This is what I mean. I don't know how much worse you can get than this. If he actually did what people are accusing him of, what her parents believe that he did, that means he killed the mother of his daughter, the mother of his child, after abusing her for years. I don't know how you can be an enlightened person and do that. So we're just going to leave that there. I'm going to link this below. Do you believe a person can meditate themselves to death? Let me know in the comments. Apparently that's a thing that happens in India. Yeah. Okay. It's very interesting watching the Joe Rogan podcast and looking from retrospectively, because I went and I rewatched it, and watching Joe Rogan speak to this man who has all of these extreme allegations against him. And Joe does push back a lot. He just does push back a lot. He's not just taking what he says at face value, but I wonder if he understood the kind of allegations that were against this man, and if he would have taken the interview if he understood. Now, if you go further down the article, you'll see that there are numerous allegations of sexual assault, inappropriate behavior. A lot of these women, some of these women think that they were drugged, that they were given a drink and then they lost consciousness. They woke up in another room. A lot of suspicious activity involving drugs. Also, women were encouraged to be topless, to do ceremonies, to do rituals, to do yoga. No, you don't have to be topless to do yoga. In fact, you can stretch without doing yoga. I see so many people get caught up into these yoga cults, and I'm like, girl, just stretch in your yard. Stretch in your living room. You can touch your toes and not join a cult. It's actually pretty easy. People have been stretching in the Western world for years without joining cults. But this is a thing. People get sucked into the beauty and the exoticism of India and Indian culture, thinking that they must know more than us. They must be more enlightened than us. Why do you think that? Have you been there? Have you seen the streets? Why do you think they are more enlightened than us? That is nonsense. But they will go across the world to be in an ashram with people who their claim to being more enlightened than us is them telling us they are more enlightened than us. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. But yes, there are women who went to stay in his ashram to gain some enlightenment and feel that they have been sexually assaulted while they were there. I'm going to link this in the article down below because there are numerous accounts of this. And I just want to let you ladies know that you can be sexually assaulted at home. You don't have to use all your airline points to go be sexually assaulted in India. You can be sexually assaulted at home and then go to Puerto Rico with those points. Think about it. And you can stretch at home. Better yet, don't get sexually assaulted. Put on a YouTube stretching video and just chill at your house. It's fine. They are not more enlightened than you. They are not more enlightened than us. This is a play on the noble savage kind of thing. So women in the West think, oh, we have no spirituality in the West. They have it all over there, like they're hoarding it or something. But it's like we have a deep spiritual tradition in the West, many actually, and you can embrace all of them or none of them and just go on about your day. That's the beauty of it. Anyway, I'm not going to go on a long diatribe about people who visit India for spiritual enlightenment. It's fine if you've done it. Watch out for yourself, especially you ladies. Now, one of the more disturbing things is this graduation ritual that they had with these 13-year-old girls. And these 13-year-old girls, around 13, so just reaching puberty, they were asked to be topless for this. And Sadhguru would touch them as part of this ritual because he runs a school, because for some reason parents send their kids to be educated there. I'm not going to go into it. Anyway, he runs a school, and for the longest time, they had these rituals where these 13-year-old girls would be topless and they would be touched. This is not normal behavior for India either, which is another reason. It's just that these Indian people can tell you that anything is normal behavior for India, and you can be like, oh yeah, well, that's what they do in India. You don't know what they do in India. They certainly don't do this. Anyway, this is where they actually have receipts, because one of the former teachers said, hey, we should stop having these topless ceremonies with 13-year-old girls because it is wildly inappropriate. And Sadhguru wrote back, yeah, I guess you're right. So it means he acknowledges that they were doing it this long time. So that's out in the open. Perhaps that's part of their spirituality. We see that there are other rituals where the people were asked to be nude and topless, and they weren't told ahead of time that they were going to be nude. I'll chalk that up to spirituality. For the adults, at least. For the children, no. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You can get white people to do anything if you tell them it's spiritual. I didn't say that. I'm just saying. Sadhguru seems to have figured that one out. Anyway, this article was a trip. Going through the stories on exposing Sadhguru, that was also a trip. But once again, if you watch this man and you listen to what he says, it's not a huge surprise. Now, I will say I agree with him on a lot of things. I agree with him on soil depletion and getting back to the earth. You hear me talk about this a lot. Like, go outside, hang out with your family, plant a flower, smell a flower if you can't plant a flower. Look at a flower IRL. Not on your phone. I go about this all the time. But just because he's right at that aspect doesn't mean he's 100% correct, or that he's an enlightened being and should be treated like an enlightened being. I think until these allegations are sorted, until they are proven one way or the other, you should really take all of that with a grain of salt. And also, don't listen to anyone who tells you that they're enlightened. Why are they telling you that they are enlightened? What do you have to give to them? What do you have to offer them? The old spiritual masters, at least the ones that you read about in the text, people went to them and they rejected them. You had to beg them 3 times to be let in. They wouldn't teach you. They refused to teach you. There are stories of monks cutting off their own arms just to be taught, or aspiring monks cutting off their own arms just to be taught by these wise men, because the wise men refused to teach them. So if you're getting PR, if you're getting shorts, memes, if you're getting all of this advertisement for a guru, think about it. Why is he advertising to you? What does he want from you? He wants your energy. He wants your money. He wants your time. Sadhguru's empire, they make a lot of money. They make a lot of money because they don't have to pay people. This comes up a lot in cults. They don't have to pay people. So they just get volunteers, a lot of volunteers. Who gets the money? There's still money being exchanged. Just because a person is volunteering, just because they're volunteering, doesn't mean that someone else isn't seeing the profits from that. And that's energy. It's an energy exchange. So moving forward, maybe you like some of what Sadhguru says. That's fair. Maybe you can get some information from him that helps your life. That's also fair. But keep in mind, there are a lot of mysterious deaths associated with him. He doesn't seem to like competition, and he seems to be inappropriate, to say the least, with women and girls. So just keep that in mind when you're watching this man. Take what you can, use what lessons you can, but also remember, what does he want from you? If he was a spiritual, enlightened being that's floating above us all, why is he bothering with us? What is he doing? You know what I mean? He's not teaching us anything new. We know the yoga poses. There are posters you can get with all the yoga poses. We know all the texts. He's not offering anything that's not in the text already. Yes, Joe Rogan points out he's very entertaining. Very good. So he's an influencer. You know how I feel about influencers. Anyway, what do you think of this man, this Sadhguru, who is not Osho, by the way? You might be looking, thinking, is this Osho? I like Osho. No, this is not Osho. Not Osho. What do you think of this man, Sadhguru? Are you getting useful information from him? And do you think you're going to continue watching him after you read this article or watch this video? You let me know. You can also let me know what you generally think about spiritual teachers in the comment section below. Thank you very much, and I will see you next week.